Hi there, and welcome to Booked in the DMs, a mini course provided by me, Shannon Tarrant, teaching you how to turn your Instagram messages into a Gen Z sales system. Maybe we have, or maybe we haven't yet connected. So I'd like to take just a minute to introduce myself. My name is Shannon, and I own an amazing, incredible directory here in Central Florida called Wedding Venue Map. The great thing about being a local resource in any wedding market is that I get to live in between the space of the couples planning their events and the businesses that we support, right? So I get to really listen to everything that the couples are saying and that they want because we're a free resource for them as a directory. And we get to take that information, that knowledge, and share it not only with the businesses in our market, but I also get to share it with you guys through Venue Help Desk. So I'm a venue support and venue vendor mentor. I've been working with our local businesses in the market for over 15 years. I'm also a podcast host, our retired podcast of the Wedding Sassles, and our new great venue podcast called the Venue Helpline. But ultimately, I'm here to help support your business and find opportunities to be able to convert more sales. Venue Help Desk, this side of our business is incredibly focused on really helping specifically venues. But sometimes when we go to teach the venues, we realize that a course like this could apply to anyone. So we really work to help support wedding venues all across the country solve one problem at a time. A little bit more about the podcast. If you like hearing spilling some tea, or you've got something about your venue you need help with, or if you're a vendor and you want to understand venues better, you can always submit for us to do an episode on your topic over at the Venue Helpline. And if you want to stay in touch with us, of course, you can always follow along on social media at Venue Help Desk over on Instagram. So let's dive into this course specifically. Now, I got really excited about this topic because I didn't realize that so much of our wedding industry was using social media to do what I like to call post and pray. You're throwing content out there and hoping that it does the job it's supposed to get you leads. Or maybe you've just been using your social media as a great portfolio piece, which is fantastic. But now's the time for you to turn this into a lead generation machine. So there's a little bit of a mini course. I'm going to teach it all in one big chunk for you. That shouldn't be too long and worth every minute of your time. So the very first module that we're going to do is how DMs are the new inbox. The second module is about changing your mindset. Module 3, we're going to build a reply library. Module 4, we're going to make it personalized. Module 5, we'll systemize it. Module 6, we're going to then fill up your DMs with people reaching out to you. And module 7, I'll teach you how to reply like a pro. Okay, let's dive in. So for module 1, we want to dive into the idea that really Gen Z isn't ghosting you. They're just not replying in the inbox that you're still using. See, we hear all the time from vendors, venues, people across the industry, the word "I'm getting ghosted." But sometimes it's not you, it's your inbox. So let's start here because I know this is so familiar. You get an inquiry, you send what you think is a thoughtful reply, and then nothing. Crickets. You're refreshing your inbox and your email like it owes you something. But here's the thing. Gen Z isn't really ghosting you because they're flaky. They're ghosting you because maybe you're showing up in a place that they don't check very often. We're trying to pull them into the systems that we prefer to use as business owners or as wedding pros, like your email, your CRMs, and your contact form. But we're not paying attention to the fact that today's couples are already living somewhere else and they're spending their time on these social media platforms in their DMs. So they're actually responding. Like, if you really want someone to respond quickly, do you email them or do you send them a text or a DM? See, as someone who does a ton of B2B, business to business work with wedding pros like you, I also know exactly which vendors that I can get a quicker reply from either Facebook Messenger or Instagram Messenger. I could send them an email all day long and maybe even a text message, but if I hit their DMs, it's an instant response. And the majority of those vendors that are doing business that way are also the same age group and demographic in which you're targeting with your engaged couples. Gen Z's communication stack looks nothing like Gen X or even elder millennials, which I fall into that age group. Like they're already on these platforms using them all day, all the time. When they're curious about something and they're just trying to just start to get started, they'll tend to send a DM and not an email. When they want info, they expect you to be using like the app that they're using, and they expect you to be responsive. And if you're only showing up in their email inbox, you're showing up too late, maybe, or not at all. It's always going to be about speed of responding back to these things. So, like, these are the places the couples are actually responding: DMs, TikTok comments and DMs, text message, and email sometimes. 82% of Gen Z says they feel more connected to brands they respond in their DMs. This stat is from Sprout Social, and it's wild. They didn't use the word prefer, or not the word that they like. They feel actually more connected, like they trust you more when you respond in the DMs. And that's where all bookings are going to start. It's from trust. This is why we're not just learning a feature today with this, mini course. We're changing where the relationship actually starts. So let's look at the difference in energy here. Your inbox is like a filing cabinet. It can be delayed replies, a more formal tone. Sometimes, does this ever happen to you? I use Gmail, and sometimes the emails get buried in threads. Someone else responds, or you get a mom or a groom, a bunch of people are CC'd, and it gets buried. And the inbox feels very transactional. I feel like a lot of times when I get promotional emails or, just sales emails in general, it feels like somebody's trying to sell me. But the DMs are like almost like someone standing in your booth at a wedding show with a big line of people stopping by. You get instant responses. It's very conversational. It's quick access at people, and it feels very personal. It feels like we're having a relationship and a conversation. It doesn't feel transactional. So if you're trying to book couples right now by dragging them off of social media and into your inbox, you're missing your moment. This is exactly their vibe when your response comes through from an inbox they forgot they checked. Like, the attention span isn't the issue, it's the location of the conversation. So they fill out a form on your website, and let's say that form hits on a Friday. Well, okay, of course, you're probably busy with events this weekend. So then you don't reply back till Monday. And by that point, they're thinking, who are these people? Like, they filled out a bunch of forms and contacted a bunch of people all at the same time. And then they'd have to go back and click out of their email to get back to your website. Where when DMs are where the conversation starts, we know that like they can then just click quickly right into your profile to remind themselves who you are. So let's make sure that you're ready. Now we know where Gen Z actually wants to talk. Let's make sure you're not scrambling to reply. Because if someone today were to drop into your DMs and be ready to chat, and you're still typing info from scratch every single time, it seems painful. And this is probably why you haven't used this as the sales tool that it could be for your business. We've got a much better way I'm going to teach you today using saved replies. And I know every time this topic has come up and I've coached one of our wedding venue map members or a venue in a different state, and we're on our phones and I'm teaching them how to lead gen and drive conversions through the DMs. This is what I hear every single time. I just want everyone to go through my CRM, says every wedding pro ever. But listen, most wedding pros don't avoid the DMs because you don't know how to use them. You know how to type a message. You avoid them because you don't want to deal with one more inbox. You've already got email and your CRM and your website contact form. And now people are messaging you on Instagram like you're a bestie and a business coach and a booking portal all in one. It seems very overwhelming. So let's frame that, because this isn't about giving up the structure. It's about meeting people where they already are and then guiding them into your system. So just think through this. Like, I am going to give you an example that I use in my personal life. Like, I love my mom and I love to talk to my mom, but I run an empire over here. So when my mom calls at 2:00 on a Tuesday, I can't answer her call. I'm potentially in a Zoom meeting, on a phone call, in the middle of a project. But when she shoots me a quick text message because she has a quick question about what we're doing for dinner on Saturday night, I can text her right back. She's learned that if she wants to catch me, she's got to get me where I'm at. And where I'm at when it's a quick question is in a quick reply, which is a text message. The DMs are the same thing. See, I'm an elder millennial, maybe a young Gen X. I'm right on that line. So DMs is not the best place that I like to do business, but I've had to convert that philosophy to meet our engaged couples where they're at. All right, let's move on to module 2. DMs are not unprofessional. They're where real conversations and your bookings can actually start. So let's talk about a few common myths about selling in the DM. We're going to unpack these one by one. Most of them come from a belief that casual equals unprofessional, but Gen Z doesn't think like that. If you don't show up in their DMs or they DM you and you don't reply, you look outdated or hard to reach. And as for the it's too chaotic, that's where systems come in, which we're building today. So it's not unprofessional at all. Even on a B2B standpoint, if you're doing work and working a lot with younger vendors, sometimes this is the best place to catch them and send them inspiration and things like that. Another comment is it's too chaotic to track. I'm going to give you the system for that today. I know it can feel like another place, but let's leave the DMs off. Right now, you're most likely using some form of CRM that I imagine emails and contact forms go into. You're using email. You're most likely using the phone and getting voicemails. And if you're a more thought forward vendor, you're also using text message. So you're already using 4 platforms. You just need to figure out the 5th. And I know. You're thinking I don't want to live in my DMs all the time. Well, that's fine. You don't have to. You can spend 15 to 20 minutes a day, the same as you would checking your voicemail each day or going through your inbox each day. You can spend 15 to 20 minutes a day. And what's your worst case scenario? All of a sudden conversions start to happen and you have to spend more time in the DMs? Come on now. Isn't that the whole point? You're spending all this money, time, and energy marketing to get these leads to find you. Don't you want to make them move and convert? So that might mean you need a little extra time in the DMs each day. And then I hear all the time that it's not scalable. Well, I get it. But at some point, if your team grows and you have salespeople, like I have account managers, we tag team the DMs and we figured out systems of using primary inbox and general inboxes to keep all the leads organized. And it's not a huge scalable. At some point, we want to get them off the platform. We don't want to be signing contracts inside the Instagram DMs, but you've got to get started somehow to get them moving. One of the most common factors I hear is that serious leads come through my website and my email. As a business who does 25 wedding shows a year, we spent a lot of time in the last year doing a lot of testing. And what that means is when we'll be in our booth and we tell someone about a venue or a vendor as a recommendation, I say to them, hey, look it up. They'll go to write it down in their notes app or email it to themselves. And I'm like, oh no, just look them up right now. And then we watch and we wait and we see. And the thing we learned in the last year is that the majority of people under the age of 32, they look them up on Instagram. When someone tells you about a restaurant or a company or a business or a handbag or a fashion line to look at, the majority of the time under the age of 32, which is probably the largest chunk of your demographic of engaged couples right now, they go to Instagram first. Over 35, they always went to Google first to Google the business and go over to the website. But for you to say serious leads are only coming through my website, well, your Instagram might be losing them. And you could have leads sitting over in your Instagram DMs. I worked with a venue recently and she said to me, oh, I hate the DMs. I just set up an autoresponder to say the best way to reach out to me is to email me over here or go over to the link on our website. And I was like, okay, but when's the last time you checked the DMs? And we opened up her direct messages inside of the Instagram app. And there were over 200 people who had messaged her for pricing info, package info, date availability, and she had never checked them. Then I took the extra time to make it hurt just a little more. And we matched some of those names into the leads in her CRM. And a lot of them were not there, meaning they never took the time to email her and they never took the time to convert over to the website and email. There are dollars just sitting there over in this platform. It's not too chaotic. BS. That can't be the reason. We'll teach you the system today. See, because CRMs are built for organizing leads, but the DMs are built for starting conversations. You can let your CRM do its job, which is tracking and reminding and organizing, but let your DMs do their job, which is initiating human connection. You don't have to pick just one. You need to know when to use which one. The DM is the start of the journey. The CRM is where you guide them next. And when I say CRM, I mean customer relationship management tools. You might be using Honeybook or Dubs Auto or 17 Hats or Lead Savage or Go High Level or any one of those Cater, all of those things that you're using for customer management systems. See, you think DMs are a mess, but they can be organized with simple tools. This is about you making the shift. We're not ditching the structure, we're updating it. You think DMs are casual. You're right. Casual equals accessible, but that's about building trust. Or the DMs take too much time. I'm going to teach you how to use saved replies, which is way faster than email. Or you think the DMs are unprofessional. Well, Gen Z sees DMs as the place to connect. Or you think, oh, you'll forget to follow up, but there are systems to help you stay on track. Today is about building a bridge between how Gen Z wants to communicate and how you want to manage your business. My goal today is that when someone slides into your DMs, I want you to see that DM notification and say, yup, I got this. And you feel ready because you have the replies, the flow, and the right mindset to reply with confidence without writing a freaking novel every single time. So if you're ready to start the conversation, it's time to save the messages that you send the most. Now that we're aligned on why you need to be in the DMs, let's make it easier to be there. Next up, it's about what to say, save, what to say, and how to make it sound like you. So moving on to module 3. Saved replies aren't lazy. It's a lead conversation system hiding in plain sight. See, if you've ever met me in person or heard me speak, you'll know that systems are my jam. There are so many things we do as business owners that are repetitive behaviors, and we don't have time to just start it fresh every single time. So we're going to build an entire system around this. You don't need a new strategy. You just need faster fingers. Most of you already know what to say in the DMs. You're just wasting time typing it in over and over and over again. And every time you delay that reply because you're too busy to write something more polished, you're losing a potential booking. Saved replies aren't about something sounding automated. They're about being ready when the conversation starts. So when you get that message, you can just jump in and get started. So we're going to work today on building your DM template reply library. You only need a very few replies to start, and you can build as you go. We're not trying to script out your entire business. We're just trying to take the things you already say often and make them tap to send. So here's the kinds of things that I would suggest you put into your library. And I'll give you a few of my favorite templates for these. An initial inquiry reply, a pricing preview, availability and next steps, follow-up messages, same as you would have follow-up email templates, which we have over in the template shop over on Venue Help Desk. If you're like, oh, I don't really have follow-up email templates, you can buy an entire set of 25 of them over at Venue Help Desk. But you should have follow-up message templates in the DMs the same as you do in email. You should have specific calls to action. And maybe some FAQ, frequently asked question responses. Do you travel? What's your minimum? Things like that you're going to hear over and over again. So let's simplify these. You're going to want to write them individually. So here's a few of my very favorite templates that you can use within your business. So the saved reply is the initial inquiry. This message is meant to be short, warm, and open-ended. It invites a response. It doesn't dump a pricing guide on them 2 seconds in. It keeps the vibe very casual but clear. So you can say, hey name, or hi there if you can't figure out their name because it's not in their profile. Thanks for reaching out. So excited to hear about your day. Want a quick breakdown of our most popular package options. Look, when couples reach out to you and start that conversation, there's 2 things they want to know: the package, the pricing, and then after that, the availability. But we've got to keep it very clear as to the conversation. So when someone reaches out to you, and this can be a really great initial inquiry response. Next up is a pricing preview. It's all about anchoring your price and immediately invites them to the next step. So you're not just giving them numbers, you're giving context. It's important in the sales process to not give dollars without value. This also keeps the conversation alive instead of ending with a price drop. So when someone says, how much does it cost to work with you? You can say, we start at X and most couples spend between Y and Z. Want to see a full gallery from a similar wedding or from a wedding at your venue? Which venue are you getting married at? So I can share a gallery if we've ever shot there, like that we have ever worked there, right? Depending upon your category. All things like this are ways to be able to talk about pricing, but we've got to give the context as to why things cost the way they cost because of the quality of our work. Next up is invite them to schedule a chat. This feels very natural, like a friendly nudge, not a sales pitch. Now, don't start with this. You got to text back and forth a little bit first, but it takes that pressure off and gives them control of the timeline. And ideally, you guys are using calendar links like a Calendly, Acuity, scheduling, your CRM, something like that for people to book an appointment. So this says, want to set up a quick call to see if we're a good fit? You can grab a time that works best for you here. You're not wasting time with that back and forth messaging to set up a call. Are you available Tuesday at 4 or Friday at 6 or whatever? It's direct and casual, which is peak Gen Z energy when you're talking in the DMs. Next up, you can ask them for their wedding date and venue. Want to check if your date is still available? Let me know your wedding date and what venue you've booked. Now, of course, if you're here and you're the venue, just say, want to check if your date is available. Let me know your ideal date and if you're flexible or not. Maybe their date is totally flexible and they're just giving you a dream date. But instead of asking what's your wedding date in isolation, which feels like a form, you're framing it as part of a helpful step. It also shows that you care about the context. Where they're getting married matters, or when, or what season, or what time of year. This helps let you qualify quickly without sounding like you're filling out a CRM intake form. See, there's a chance that they reply back to at a venue that's either too far away or maybe it's your dream venue to work at. So you want to know, what that is that they've already taken the first steps. Now, if you're the venue, again, we would shift this around a little bit, but if they're hard and fast and there's a date and no flexibility, well, you might want to know that if you already have it booked. Next up is a follow-up message. This is the kind of Ghostbuster. It's kind but not clingy. You've maybe already been messaging them and then they kind of disappeared a little bit. Just circling back in case this got buried, which happens in the DMs because the amount of my girlfriends and my employees and my friends whipping me funny videos and reels to watch and stuff like that. It's very easy for a message I wanted to read to get lost. So it says, still interested in chatting about your wedding? I'm here when you're ready. It gives them space, but keeps you top of mind. Use this a few days after they've gone silent to reopen that loop that we're still in a conversation. See, the idea of saved replies, they're not meant to make you sound like a robot. They make you sound ready. And that's the whole point. This isn't about faking it. It's about removing the friction that requires them to click from your Instagram to your website to read about your information and then fill out the contact form. When you already know what to say, you don't have to waste time reinventing it. If you don't know me at all, you know I love quotes. Responsiveness is the new currency of trust. This is the real reason why you're creating these replies in advance, because you know what questions are going to come. What do you charge? Are you available? Can I see more photos? And when they do, you have a choice. You can reply super fast with confidence, or you can delay while you try to figure out how to say it right, and then you lose the lead's attention. For Gen Z, the faster you respond, the more legit you look. You look like a human being and a person who's there and available. Speed says, I'm on it. I've done this before and you can trust me. Saved replies and having them pre-scripted, they don't just save you time, they actually preserve that momentum you worked so hard to create. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the fact that it's really important about the types of content you're putting on your social media, that there's opportunities for things like pinned posts at the top of your Instagram account and your TikTok accounts and things where you can kind of save some general info about your portfolio or about you or packages and pricing. You want to make sure at the point at which someone is reaching out, your content is so strong that it pushes them to say, hey, I want to talk to these people. So that is a piece of this puzzle to drive a little bit more of it. So if you've been slacking on your Instagram, let's up the content game before we try to go nuts and selling them on this platform. Okay, next up, we're going to make sure your replies actually feel personal without typing a novel every time. It should sound like you because, yes, you can be efficient and still sound like a human. Moving on to module 4. Personalization doesn't take more time. It just takes a tad bit more intention. Listen, people buy from people. So it's time to not sound like a robot. No one's hiring your saved reply. They're hiring you. So this module is all about how to take the speed and consistency of saved replies. Layer in a little bit of warmth, a little context, a little you, a little bit of your personality. That's the secret to getting replies that feel like conversations, not canned response. Like, hi there, hey Bobby, is very different than hello, account name. Thank you for your inquiry. If that's not how you talk, that shouldn't be in your saved replies. So we want to make it feel personal fast. You can do things like use their name if you have it. Sometimes it's in their profile. Mention something from their message specifically, mirror their tone, add emojis and line breaks to make it easy. See, personalization doesn't mean reinventing the wheel. It means giving a human signal. If you've got their name, you're going to want to use it. If they've mentioned a specific venue or date, drop it in and personalize it. Oh, I love the space at such and such. You're going to get amazing light there. Or they have the best ready room. Or, oh, ceremonies are the prettiest under that tree. And emojis are like, if they use emojis, you can use emojis. Just don't go a little too crazy with the emojis. And then don't underestimate the power of spacing, line breaks, and emojis. Make your messages easy to read and easy to reply to. There's also a great functionality inside of Instagram, if you've never used it in the DMs, which is voice memos when it makes sense. I'll never forget the first time I reached out to a vendor in the industry saying, hey, I've been following you a long time. Like, I absolutely love your content. I laugh all the time and blah, blah, blah. And thanks for putting the energy into making such great stuff. And they replied with a voice memo and it was like 10 seconds. And it said, hey, Shannon, thank you so much for the sweet words. We do work really hard on our social media. And I'm so glad, you felt like you could connect with it. And she said, hi, Shannon, like my actual name. That voice memo, it felt so personal, like they were talking to me directly, which they were. And it took her 10 seconds to send, probably less time than it would have been to type out everything that she said. Okay. So I don't want you to say this. Hello. When someone says, hey, I'm interested in your pricing. Hello. Attached is my pricing guide. Let me know if you have any questions. Technically, there's nothing wrong with this, but it's stiff. It feels cold. It's like a dead end. It sounds like a business brochure, not a human being in there replying to the DMs. Let me know if you have questions is not a call to action for them to look at it. Here's the same info, just with a softer, more curious tone. Hey, so glad you reached out. Want a quick overview of the package most couples start with? This keeps the door open for the conversation to keep going. You want them to engage and reply back. See, as my mom always says, this is a picture of me and her. It's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it. By the end of this course, I want you to see that DM notification and be like, I got it. I'm ready to go. Because how you say the words and how you write it in terms of your saved replies is so freaking important, right? You don't want it to feel stuffy. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. You've got to infuse yourself and your own personality in there. For example, as you can see, everything I do, all of my brands, all of my companies, I love the color green. So when I send hearts on any form of text message or social media, I always use the green heart. I've never used the red heart. I didn't even know there was a pink heart. It feels like me. And then don't forget the power of the voice memos. Voice memos bring the warmth, right? Sometimes a voice note says what an entire paragraph can't. So I did a quick screenshot just so that you can see that it's that little microphone down there is how you would send a voice memo. It takes 15 seconds and it makes you feel like a real person, not a bot. Voice memos are gold when you're answering something like nuanced or complicated. You want to show excitement and tone. You want to add like expression that doesn't come across in text. You don't need to use them for every reply, but dropping one at the right moment is such a trust builder. Okay, so we want to start with saved replies. How can we add the personal touch and send with confidence? You're not writing a new reply every time. You're starting with something strong and adding in a little bit of a sprinkle of you as a part of it. But it's not just about what you save, it's how fast you can send it. Having these replies written is step 1. But step 2 is having them ready to go without digging through your brain or your camera roll every time to figure out what you're going to say. So Here's a few very simple ways I'm going to teach you all of my hacks that can make your saved replies actually feel saved and ready to use. So there's 3 different options for sending these saved replies fast. Very first is to keep your replies in a notes app. This is the easiest and fastest way to get started. Literally just like a pinned note at the top of your notes in your phone. Have it called DM replies with all your most common responses. Save each reply as a separate bullet or as a paragraph. Include in the exact reply, include any frequently used links like your calendar link, your gallery link, any guides you have, pricing guides, things like that. So you can keep your links in there also. Pin it to the top of your notes app. You want to group them by type. Here are the inquiry responses, the pricing responses, the follow-up responses, and format them so you can grab the whole thing, copy and paste. Use spacing and emojis so it's easy for them to scan them, but there's no tech needed for this. There's no setup time. Open, copy, paste, personalize as you send it over. You can do this very easily. I'm a Mac user, so we actually went into a Google Doc. We wrote out all of our saved replies, and then I copied and pasted them all into a note. A note on my laptop ties to a note on my phone. I pin that note to the top. But there are some ways that we can continue to up-level this. And number 2 is keyboard shortcuts. Now, it doesn't matter what type of phone you have, whether it's an Android or an iPhone, all of you have keyboard shortcuts. You know what I mean, right? If you've ever typed in OMW and it blows in on my way, you can create these yourself with these basic instructions following these steps. Now, if there's something you say 10 times a week, turn it into a shortcut. I know. I'm not supposed to use the same passwords for everything, but I have one password that I use for a ton of stuff in my personal life. So I actually create a keyboard shortcut with the password in there so it blows in. Anything that can save you time is a win. So this, you want to think about a short code like PPX for pricing review or INQ for an inquiry reply. You need to be really careful. It should be a code word or a shortcut mix of letters so you don't accidentally trigger them mid-sentence. Meaning if you were to use the word pricing, for example, and you go to text, I don't know, a service provider, an electrician come in your house and say, hey, can you review the pricing? It will blow in your whole message. They'll auto replace constantly and it'll be really annoying. Trust me, I learned this the hard way. So for example, you can use shortcuts like SRR1 for saved reply response 1 or a code word or whatever you want to do, but you want it to be something you don't type on the regular because that could get really messy. But there is one level up from this that is the best tool that you can use. And this is my actual personal favorite. Inside of Instagram, there is a tool called saved replies, meaning those keyboard shortcuts live inside of the app themselves. Now, this is for Instagram business profiles only, but it's built into the app and it's absolute gold. You can assign these shortcuts inside of the app just like keyboard replacements. So if someone says, and then it doesn't mess up if you're going to text someone and you were to say FAQ in a text, it doesn't blow in. So inside of your DMs, if you had one called FAQ, it brings up the whole saved messages. So what you more or less are going to do, and I'll kind of show you, I'm going to walk you through it with some screenshots, is you can load them all in and then assign the short code to each reply and then easily insert them with a tap while you're replying to the DMs. You can also include hyperlinks in the text. So if you want to link them to your appointment booker or things like that, you can put it all in there. This makes replying feel way more professional without sounding canned, and it goes so quick. All right, now I'm going to show you some screenshots. Obviously, at the time I recorded this is where everything is within the app. Does Instagram move things around all the time? So don't beat me up if it's not exactly where it is. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing you do, you go up to your messages themselves. Then when you open your actual inbox on messages, so you're in the home screen, you click on the message icon on the top up here. Then when you go into you're in the messages home screen, you're going to type the 3 little dots. Inside of that is an option called tools. You want to click and choose tools. Now, when you go inside to tools, hopefully you're following along on your phone while you watch this. There's something inside of there called saved replies. When you go into saved replies, this is where you can add them in. So if you hit the plus button, because you probably don't have any in there, first you're going to go in and you add the shortcut, and then you're going to add in the message. So as you can see, some of the ones we've got in there is things like a new follower, or come to our Facebook group, or swell because we're going to be at a conference speaking, or we change these up all the time. Now there is a limited amount that you can have inside of the app. It's not unlimited, but they change that number all the time. So to keep an effort to keep this timeless, at current time, it's somewhere between 20 to 25, but sometimes they add them and sometimes they take them away. So just be strategic with the ones you're using. Okay, so now if you were to go into a message itself, you click the little, talk bubble with the 3 dots. Once your replies are all saved up, here's how you're actually going to use them. When you're inside the DM, you type the short code you created, like pricing or, FAQ or whatever, and it will pop up for you to send. So that's what that looks like here. So I can type in the word follow, and it's going to pop up all of my saved replies that have the word follow in the short code. The other option, of course, is to type in, click the 3 dots, and it will pull up all your saved replies for you. But even this is faster once you learn which ones you're using. It literally takes 2 seconds to keep the conversation flowing without stopping to rewrite everything. Whichever method you use, speed equals trust. It doesn't matter if you want to make a note in your phone and start there, or if you want to use keyboard shortcuts, that's fine. I would highly recommend, if you're going to do those other two, at least try it native inside of the platform, because I think it's a lot easier to use, and then it doesn't mess up all my other text messages. But the goal isn't about becoming a robot. It's to make sure you can respond quickly, consistently, and confidently without scrambling every single time to reply. Now we've got our replies all ready to go, but we've got to talk about how to actually get couples to DM you first. See, because you can have the best messages written in the world, but if no one's reaching out to you, it doesn't matter. Okay, now let's turn our DMs into a magnet to get started. So having a saved reply is helpful. A repeatable system is a sales tool. So let's dive in on how to systemize it in Module 5. If it lives in your head, it's not a system. So you've got the replies, you have the shortcuts, but unless you have a system all put together, you can repeat, improve, and hand off to someone else. You're still winging it. Let's turn your DMs into a streamlined sales tool that actually help you book, not burn you out. See, because I think one of the big epic fails is that if you have a social media manager, your social media manager could almost act as a sales assistant, and you could teach them on how to answer the most popular questions to convert them. If you're a venue, to get them to convert to tours, they could be managing that for you. Or one of you could manage the general inbox, while the other one of you manage the primary inbox. And you can move the messages back and forth so you know where the leads are. But nothing matters if you don't have a system. So you need to design the actual workflow that comes from this being a sales step. So first you want to have it all together. Think of it like a gentle path. It's not as hardcore as a funnel. You're responding fast, making it feel personal, and then you're asking one simple question to keep the conversation alive. Then and only then do you guide them to the next step, like the link to view a gallery or book a call. You don't need to force them into your CRM or your system right away. Meet them where they're at in the DMs and then move them when you're ready. So here's a sample example of a DM workflow. First, the inquiry comes in, you respond with a saved reply. You personalize that saved reply based upon what you know. Then you can ask a quick follow-up question to keep the conversation going. That's back and forth maybe for a little bit before you guide them to the next step, which is to go look at something else. Listen, stay in the DMs as long as they're replying there. When you try to force them to get out of the DMs and into the inbox, you now just went into the sea of everyone else. No one is using this system, guys. This is why I'm teaching it to you. I was shocked when every time I talk about using the DM for sales, it's like 90% of the vendors are like, oh, I don't do that. Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, I'm not interested. The wedding pros are like, oh, I can't handle one more thing. But you can move them out of that platform, but that's usually at the point at which they're taking the next step. Something I didn't put into the slides, but you might want to remember too, is that when someone opens your message on Instagram, it shows it as opened. It shows it as read. So you can see that they saw it, not that it just went and didn't get through, right? Because maybe there's somebody who has a lot of DMs. Could be so messy. All right. So when should you actually use this? Like, when should you actually send a saved reply? We're going to slide all up into the DMs. So here's some key moments for you to send these saved replies. Of course, the most basic and the most simple is if someone DMs you first. When someone DMs you first, don't leave them waiting. This is your moment to reply quickly and clearly. It should be easy. Start looking at the questions people ask and just make sure you have a saved reply written for it to use every single time. Second time you should be using a saved reply is when someone new follows you. New followers are very curious. So you want to start the conversation with them when you're fresh in their feed. They just followed you and they're just learning about you. Okay, hear me out, because I get so much pushback for this one because people are like, oh, it's so creepy to DM them when they follow you. But here's the thing. When someone follows your account, however they got there, they went down the rabbit hole of Instagram. Maybe they saw you tagged on a post over here, or someone recommended you and they did like the couples at the wedding show and they just look up your business first. They've gone on and they've scrolled through your account. They are very stingy with their follows. So they have followed you, which is like a knock on your door. They've knocked on your door to say, I want to see more and I want to learn more. It is your job as the professional to open the door and say, hey there, I'm here. Hey there, hi there, ho there. Now, you don't want to be a crazy creeper, so I'll give you some tips, but it's about being welcoming and being like, you made it and you found us and you're here. So we've got to match the initial message that goes to these people. They didn't reach out saying, I'm looking for pricing or I want you to sell to me. This is just about the hospitality of someone knocking on the door and you opening it. So let's think through the different types of followers, because not all new follows could be leads. So if an engaged couple follows you, hey, thanks for the follow. How's wedding planning going? Like, super casual, super laid back. But some of who follows you are opportunities to build vendor relationships, referrals, or future collaborations. That's why you want to have different saved replies for different follow types. So if a venue follows you and you're a vendor, thanks for the follow. I love your venue. Have you shot there? What's your favorite part? Personalize it, blah, blah, blah. Try to schedule a tour like, oh, I love your venue. The blah, blah, blah is amazing. Or I did Mike and Susie's wedding last year at your venue, whatever. How's everything going? Or like, ask a question to keep the conversation going. And then if a planner or a vendor follows you, hi there. I always love meeting fellow wedding pros, would love to connect. You'll respond faster with more relevance, which keeps people engaged and not weirded out. The most common question I get for this section is, how will I know it's a potential client? So I'm going to teach you my fail-proof system. Just kidding. It's not fail-proof at all, but I'm going to teach you how you do a tiny little bit of research. And if you're like, I don't want to do this part, it's okay. Just hear me, because you'll be shocked how well it works. So once a day, I want you to go into your phone and check your notifications. What that means is, see that little heart on the top right when you open up the account is all your notifications. Now, when you open up the notifications over here on the left, you have all the things, anybody who commented on anything, anybody you knew who followed you. This is from my wedding venue map account. So I go in and check and see, and I opened the first one. I was like, then I opened the second one. You might not be able to see this well, but it's Magical Miss Lex. Yes, I'm in Central Florida. Yes, we've got tons and tons of Disney adults, especially engaged couples in the market. So then I click on her profile and I open it up. And her profile picture is just a photo of her, which bit of a red flag that if she's engaged, that it wouldn't be the two of them, that she's a blogger. It's you, it's me, and everything. DCP, I don't even know what that is. Disney College Program. Got it. So she worked for Disney. And then her link to her website. And I'm looking around and there's nothing clearly here, but oh, look, there's a picture of her with a guy and another picture of her and with friends and whatever. And I scroll down and I see this picture here, which looks like a relatively professional photo. So I click on that photo and I'm like, oh, that's a great photo of them. Again, I can clearly see her left hand. I know, I'm a bit of a detective creeper, but I'm here for it. Well, I open that photo and I scroll big and I'm like, wait a minute, that's a ring on her finger. So now I keep looking and then I see this photo here and I open it up and sure as heck in the caption, it says, not sure if I mentioned this here, but we're engaged. Ding, 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 ding. Now imagine if I'm a venue. If this girl just followed my venue, or I'm a photographer, or I'm a DJ, or I'm a florist, whoever, if she just followed us, clearly it's because she's considering our business. She's just not willy-nilly digging around on Instagram following businesses she's not interested in hiring. So at this point, I take my next steps, which I follow back, and then I'm going to DM her a message. Now, what I do at Wedding Venue Map is very different because we're a publication in a directory than how you would reach out to them. But just as a sample, I use my saved DM, and my saved DM, my saved reply inside of Instagram is the word proposal. And it blows in this whole message. Congrats on your engagement. We love featuring proposal stories on our blog. Would you be interested in sharing in us sharing your story? If yes, I'll send you a link to submit. Again, she didn't ask to have a conversation with me. I opened this door. So I don't want to be like, here's the form and here's the link and here's the, oh my God, that's like too much. I just want to be like, hey, would you be interested? But I'm like, I mean, she's a blogger. She's posting this stuff. Well, guess what? Not only did she reply back, yes, I sent her the link. She submitted her story. We featured it. She wrote a whole separate blog post about it. We've gone back and forth. I ended up helping her find a ton of her vendors, helping her match with the perfect venue, all because I started with this one DM because I caught someone who followed me. Now, the thing I hear the most from people who are like, oh, I need more leads and I don't have enough leads, or I'm not getting enough conversions or whatever, they get so opposed to the idea of taking this little extra step and doing it. So I'm going to give you a great example. We have a local photography business here in Central Florida called Kona Studios, photo, film, and design. They do the most amazing work. And Jen, who is one of the owners, came to Wedding MBA, and we were having lunch at Wedding MBA. We are also friends in the local market. So this isn't like I would just do this to you, a stranger. But we were talking about this, and we were talking about this topic because I was presenting it at the conference. And we were talking about it, and she was like, oh God, I would never. That's so creepy. That's so awful. I would never just cold reach out to somebody. And I said, okay. And we're at the restaurant, and Jen left her phone unlocked, and she went to the bathroom. So I and the other friend I was with laughingly, I picked up her phone and I opened her Instagram, and I went into her Instagram. I found a recent follow that within literally 30 seconds, I figured out it was a bride, and I followed this exact path. I went in, I followed her back, and I sent her a DM and said, hi, Susie, thanks so much for the follow. How's wedding planning going? And she wrote back, oh my God, thanks so much. I love your photos. Planning's going great. I've just moved on to photography. It looks like you've shot at my venue before. And I said, oh, wonderful. What was your venue? And we went back and forth and back and forth. Now, I know Kona Studios well. They're a Wedding Venue app member. I know their packages, their pricing, their general like range. Do I know the exact of everything? No, but they have price transparency on their website. So it made it very easy for me to find and whip those links out there. We go back and forth a little bit. Jen got back from the bathroom and I said, don't get mad at me, but look what I did. Can you check the available date? This girl's ready to move forward. She knew which package she wanted. You have to remember that a lot of times the couples are very smart and they're doing a ton of research now. Well, lo and behold, she ends up going back and forth with her. I get off the stage at Wedding MBA the next day, and Jen shows me this email. And it says, we actually just chatted through, the girl forgot to put Instagram, and I'd love to move forward with the contract. We'd love to do the second package with one videography for 8 hours of coverage. Let me know if you have any questions. Are you thinking, oh my God, seriously? See, because I could tell you to do this all day long, and I've been teaching people to do it, and I've sat next to people and helped coach them. But this is the first time that I had somebody just tell me, heck no, I'm not going to do this. And I'm like, I'm going to make you do it. And now she's converting off of Instagram all the time just by paying attention to who follows her account and responding back to her DMs. It is free money that is just sitting within that app when you start to pay attention to who followed your business and followed your account. Okay, a few more key moments to send a saved reply. After someone votes or responds to your stories over on Instagram, story replies are a perfect entry point, especially if someone's ghosted you before. Maybe they ghosted you on email, and then that well-timed saved reply can revive a conversation because they've like responded back if you're using Instagram stories. So what I mean by that is, I took screenshots of this yesterday as I was trying to make sure to show you. When you post on stories, people have an opportunity to comment on it below. Now, there's also an option of you putting up polls as a part of your story or putting up questions for them to answer. You can do that also. But I just commented, "This looks amazing," and hit send. And then a message goes into the DMs that it looks, instead of it just being like a comment on a post, it opens up a DM and starts a conversation. This is such an easy way when someone does this for you to respond back and kick it off and be like, "Oh, thanks so much." Like, "Oh, like what's, are you getting married anytime soon? Or what kind of menu have you thought about for your wedding?" Like, don't go a little too crazy trying to be sales. Again, we're trying to have casual conversations here to build trust. Number 4, another great way to do it is when you've been ghosted, but you still want to follow up. When your process is organized and predictable, you can show up more confidently, and that gets people to the finish line. So if you've been ghosted, but you still want to follow up, sometimes in our world, let's say you're a venue that does a tour. At Venue Help Desk, we teach that your tour registration form should ask for the couple's Instagram. So let's say you got their Instagram, you've already followed them, they came on a tour, they said they were going to reply, and now they've ghosted you. And they're ghosting your emails and maybe your text messages. Go hit them in the DMs. It's a great opportunity for you to be able to follow up. It's about having a daily DM system in 15 minutes or less. This isn't about living in the DMs. It's about setting aside a quick 15-minute block. I'd say once a day, at a minimum a couple times a week, because what's your worst case scenario? I'm going to say it again. This pops off and they start replying all over the place. And I mean, all over your DMs, and you're like, "Oh my God, the leads are converting." Okay, then maybe it becomes more than 15 minutes. But if you're a strong salesperson within your wedding business, you should be spending at least a chunk of time each day on your sales behaviors, whether it's follow-ups or working your leads or on your directory platforms, wherever it is, right? Like, it's a daily system is to go in and check your story interactions and new followers, send 2 to 3 proactive messages using saved replies, follow up with any unread messages, and copy and paste the hot leads into the CRM. The point is that you need to stay top of mind, build connection, and move the conversations forward without feeling like it's a whole nother job. The follow-up doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to happen. Okay, now that your system is working, let's talk about how to get more people dumped into the DMs, because it's great to have the system in place, but if no one's reaching out, it doesn't matter. Module 6, no DMs equals no bookings. Let's fix that, because your replies are now fire. Your system is solid. But if your inbox is dry, we've got one more step. So let's fill up the DMs. So if you're sitting and waiting for the inquiry in your inbox, you're missing the real action. They're not jumping straight to your contact form anymore. They're lurking, watching your Instagram stories, waiting for a reason to engage with your brand. They're seeing what you're doing, what you're posting. Let's give them one. Let's make it so easy for them to slide into your DMs. So there's 3 different ways to get more couples to DM you. They don't just happen. You have to earn them. So you can create entry points into your stories and your content. We already talked about following up with new followers who are engaged, right? Who look engaged. We already talked through that one. So the next one is how to use story polls, questions, and quizzes in your Instagram stories. You can add polls they can vote on, quizzes that they'll tap, or prompts like reply with your venue name, and I'll send you our top tips for that venue. You want to think that through. So here's some IG story ideas to prompt a response. See, stories are a goldmine for engagement. When you use stickers and interactive elements, but you have to be intentional. You have to make sure you have a saved reply, or you know what your reply will be before they answer. So if you use that example that I had just said, that's like, "Oh, let us know your venue and I'll send you some tips." What are you going to say if they drop a venue you've never been at before? Are you going to say, "Oh my God, thanks so much. We've never shot at that venue or worked at that venue before, but we've heard great things about it. We've toured and we've met their team, at local networking events. We would love to work there. We offer a blah, blah, blah bonus if we've never worked at a venue before." Like, that's something, if you're not doing that as a vendor, you should make there be some kind of incentive if it's a venue you've never been at, because that gives you a chance to go in and earn your spot on their list. But stickers and interactive elements, you want to set up some saved replies that match the story strategy so you can follow up quick. It works because it's casual, visual, and super low pressure. You're giving your followers a reason to respond and have a saved reply ready. When the story triggers a DM, that's your chance to build trust quickly and keep the convo going. So I'm not saying every day, every time you're posting stories that cause conversation like these, right? But if you know that on Tuesdays you post this or that, modern versus rustic or different styles, or this flower versus this flower, DM me your style and I'll send you galleries or whatever, like you need to make sure that on that day you're available in the DMs to respond back. That's so important. Okay, after someone votes, use that as a trigger for the reply, either manually or with a save reply, like, saw you voted for bold florals, want me to send you a gallery of real weddings in that style, right? Like, you've got to be able to use some of those things inside of the stories, use the tools, just make sure you're ready for it on the other side. Okay, the third way to get more couples to DM you is use calls to actions on posts and reels, like DM me the word venue, or different things that they can kind of like, each one of these things can create a moment with a reply. So here's things and phrases that can prompt the DM response: reply info, and I'll send you the package breakdown, or drop your venue below, I'll send you inspo, comment in their DM yes if you want me to send your next open tour dates. Like, you can use these also on your post. These are very low pressure, simple asks. They're clear, specific, and easy to reply to. Perfect for Gen Z who's used to fast and casual conversations. The best part is once they reply, your saved replies can do all the heavy lifting. So if you have things like a walkthrough tour video or things like that, and you're posting content, you can say reply tour and I'll send you a walkthrough video. Okay. Now we're going to get a little bit fancier. If you know anything about me, you know that I always love to have technology create automations for me. So if you're somebody who's like, oh my God, my head's already spinning, it's okay. You have access to this course. You could always come back and watch it. But for those of you who are like, I'm already doing a little bit of this, I want to level it up. Now I'm going to teach you the magic. There's an incredible tool out there called ManyChat. ManyChat can connect your Instagram posts and stories. So when you're ready to level up, it lets you build automated DM flows. So you can set it up. You've seen this, right? You've been scrolling through Instagram and it says comment info on the post, and you do that, or you say comment like, I don't know, anything. I do it for shopping all the time, and I'll send you a coupon code or whatever. And then that DM is automated. Wild, right? So you can get more using ManyChat. You can get them more out of every post you do. You can use smart replies to turn every comment into cash. These are auto replies that get triggered by a keyword, comment, or a DM. So you can either say DM me. So one of the ways Wedding Venue Map uses these is we do an annual engaged couple survey every year at the start of the year. So I say comment survey, and we'll send you the link. When they submit that comment, it just whips the link to them. And somebody on my team doesn't have to stop and go check all of those comments and then go DM all of those people. It does it for them automatically. You can also don't have to waste your time on repetitive comments and DMs. This is straight from the ManyChat website. Instantly answer every question, free up your time. You can create automations behind it. So if they reply again, what's the next? It can get super complicated, but it's pretty affordable for the fact that it can do the work for you. If there is something constantly like pricing, packages, stuff like that, comment tour if you want to link to our booking calendar if you're a venue, or things like that. Honestly, you don't really need more followers. You need more conversations. It's not about going viral on socials. It's about being visible and feeling approachable. When your DMs start to feel like a safe, simple place to start the conversation, you will book more and book faster. You already have these tools. And now you have the strategy, so let's wrap it all up with a bow. Now you've got it all, let's get to using them. The difference between a ghosted lead and a booked client is how fast and how well you reply. You have the pieces and parts. You don't have to be online 24/7. You just have to be ready when they are. Don't overthink it, right? You don't need 50 replies to get started with this, because once I teach this, people are like, oh my God, I could do this and this and this. I'm like, I get it. But let's just get started with 5. Start with your most common questions or messages and build from there. The reply should feel like you, just be faster. Systemize the replies in 3 quick steps. Don't watch courses and learn things like this and not actually take action. So pick your start 5 replies. Choose what method you want to use, your notes app, your keyboard shortcut, the Instagram save replies, and then start blocking 15-minute a days for DMs and follow up. I like to do these first thing in the morning because I like to clean them out. And then I usually check the DMs first thing in the morning. I take a break at lunch, check them again, and I check them again the end of the day. I check them 3 times a day. And then worst case scenario, someone messages me overnight. I don't look at the business Instagram till the next morning. This is the repeatable part. Just like you wouldn't write every email from scratch, you shouldn't do that in the DMs either. Get it organized, block a little time, and you'll start seeing real replies and real bookings start to convert. Conversations create clients. Gen Z doesn't want sales scripts. They want real people, real conversations, and fast as heck replies. With a few smart systems, you can show up for them without burning out. Let your replies do all the heavy lifting. You just have to keep showing up. I know that you can do this. I know if you're doing nothing like this in your Instagram right now, you're feeling really overwhelmed. But honestly, this could be a huge game changer. It hurts my heart to hear people say over and over and over again that they're not getting the responses, they're not getting the information, they're not hearing from the couples. The couples reached out to them and now they're ghosting them. You've got to meet them where they are at. I hope you learned so much today and things that you're like, man, this definitely changed my perspective. I can't wait to put this into play within my business. I hope this last hour we've spent together, the reason I teach it all in one flow instead of breaking it into tiny pieces is I know that you can do this. So I want you to share your favorite takeaway. I want you to email us over at hello@venuehelpdesk.com with your favorite tip and any course review if there's something you're missing or another piece you wanted or questions you have about this that you think I should have included. Your feedback really matters to me. So I want to hear it all. Of course, follow us at Venue Help Desk. You can follow my personal Instagram at The Shannon Experience and let us know what types of things you want to learn from here. I hope and I know that if you're willing to invest, you've hopefully watched this entire course start to finish. If you are willing to invest into this concept, oh my Lord, can it move mountains for you? Just be willing to try, like my friend Jen at Kona Studios refused to do, because once you see the outcome, and don't get discouraged, it might take a little bit, but once you get started, it can be wild in terms of moving the needle forward in your business. Thank you so much for spending your time learning with me today, and I'll see you in future courses and more learning.